How do you lead with less in your life as a manager so that you can have more time, energy, and capacity to give to yourself, but also to your people? This is what I'm going to talk about in this episode. Welcome to 2026. If you are a manager or a leader, this podcast is the place for you to get everything that you need to become a leader people actually want to follow. The show has been on a little bit of a hiatus for the last couple of months, just taking a break after 2.5 years of full-time podcasting. But there is so many episodes here for you. Going back into the archives and having a look at all of that will give you everything that you need. And so this year, I'm really going to focus on how you can lead with less, especially as the world gets more chaotic, we get more overwhelmed, where there's just a lot more going on. There's a lot more things that are becoming more challenging and a lot more things that you're needing to try and navigate and work through. And I want to help make that easier and simpler for you so that you can be the best that you can for yourself and for your people. This episode is all about how to lead with less so that you can have more time and energy and more confidence and courage to be the leader people actually want to follow. But that takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of focus to lead with less because it's easier to do more. And that's often what we're conditioned to do. We're often conditioned to do more, be more, add more. But really that takes away from everything that actually helps us to be the kind of leader that we want to be. And that is what I want for you. I want leadership and management to feel fulfilling, to feel satisfying, to feel enjoyable. And so often it doesn't because we get so bogged down in all of these other things that it can often become more and more challenging to be the leader that you really want to be. And so I'm going to kick off first by talking about the manager's trap. So the trap that we fall into as new or recent managers, or maybe you've been a manager for a while and you have then stepped into a new company or a new role, we can fall into these traps really easily. And the first trap that we tend to fall into quite often is trying to be perfect or trying to be someone else. Leadership tends to become this thing that we try and emulate or replicate from someone else or from what we see or from the books or from the videos. But really what we need to be doing is how can we come back to ourselves? How can we be true to who we are and being the kind of leader that we want to be that isn't replicated from someone else or isn't the complete polar opposite of maybe some of the terrible managers that we've had in the past. We also tend to do that quite often. The second trap that we fall into is we get caught up in trying to do more, trying to do everything and to do it all, which is not possible. It doesn't matter what job you do, what role you have, what company you work in, there's always going to be more to do. There's always going to be more things to add to the to-do list, more things to try and get done that you're actually going to have the physical capability and time to be able to do. And when we fall into this trap, we become increasingly overwhelmed. We are then on our road to burnout because if we're constantly chasing inbox zero, like to-do list zero, the next thing, we're only going to feel really disengaged, feel really dissatisfied. We're not going to feel like we're progressing, and we're not going to ever feel the sense of achievement or completion because there's just going to be more that we're telling ourselves that we need to do. And that is a really big trap. And the third trap is the trap of trying to be liked. Now, this is one of the most important things as a leader and a manager to think about is not wanting to be liked by your people. Instead, you want to be respected. You want to be respected and be seen as someone that people can trust, that has their best interests at heart, that know that you are focused on their growth and development. And so often that is about being respected, not about being liked, because sometimes you're going to do things and you're going to have to make decisions that they're not going to like, that they're not going to want to support. However, they are necessary and they are beneficial and good in the wider scheme of things. And so a trap that you can't fall into and that you need to pay attention to is wanting to be liked, because that is unfortunately not something that you can control and that you need to be focusing on as a manager. So those are the three things that fall into this manager trap that we can often get caught up in. And now I want to share how you can lead with less so that you don't fall into those traps, so that you can be really focused, intentional, and empowered to be the leader that you really want to be. The first action point on how to lead with less is focus on your own values, strengths, perspective, and impact. This is a really, really powerful and important step if you want to be a leader people actually want to follow. And this is actually the first piece of work that I do in my VIP Leaders program that will be opening again shortly for enrollment. So check out the link in the show note. This is the identity work, the identity framework that I take all of my leaders through, is really getting clarity on and harnessing and leveraging their own values, their strengths, so their genius strengths. What do they bring to the table? What brings them energy? What makes them feel fulfilled and engaged? Their perspective. How do they think? How do they show up? How do you problem solve? How do you ideate? How do you brainstorm? And then also the impact. What kind of impact do you want to have? What kind of impact and legacy do you want to leave as a result of your leadership? These 4 elements is what I form as the identity statement. This is the foundational identity of what it takes to be a leader people actually want to follow. And when you are focused on who you want to be and you align yourself with those 4 things and your actions align with them, how you do things, how you show up, how you connect, everything starts to change. Everything starts to become easier, becomes simpler because you are guided by what is most important to you. You are no longer guided by how you should be or how you think you need to be in order to be liked or in order to be influential or in order to be successful. Instead, you're really looking at what does it look like for me to be the leader that I want to be, that's connected to my values, that's connected to what is unique to me. Because the more that you are connected to your uniqueness, the more that you leverage your strengths, your values, and the way that you think, the more that you're going to be able to create an environment where your people do the same. And we need that from our people. We need them to also be tapping into and connecting with their identity and who they are so that we can get the best from them as well. So for this one is really sit down and think about what these are for you. Look at what your values are, your strengths, your perspective, your impact, and how you can bring that to life. Where are you already doing these things in your day to day? And also, where can you bring more of them in so that you can create a better and more empowering experience for yourself and for your team? The second action point is support and empower your team. So often when we are managers, we want to do more, be more, and add more. And that only leaves us more burnt out and overwhelmed. Instead, what you need to do is focus on some fundamentals in empowering your team to be their best. The first of that is setting really clear expectations, making sure that how you're setting your team up enables them to be successful. You either set it or you will regret it later. So setting really clear expectations, giving direct feedback, learning the skills on how to give feedback, making sure that you are having those conversations with your people, because when you're giving them feedback, they then have the information to do their best, to do better. Focusing on how you can coach them to become their own leaders. How are you coaching them to become more self-sufficient, to become more independent, to take ownership, to have accountability, so that they are in charge of their growth, their development, their roles. So it's not always falling back onto you. And then lastly, really building the courage and the skill set to deal with issues before they become problems. This is so important and so fundamental. And these are actually 3 of the 6 modules that I teach in VIP Leaders, is focusing on how to set clear expectations, how to give direct feedback, how to coach your people, and how to have challenging conversations. This is such a big part of what it takes to be a manager and what it takes to be effective as a manager as well. So number 2 is support and empower your team. I want you to really reflect on where are you supporting your team and where might you need to step up and support your team even more. What does that look like? What actions do you need to take? Number 3, use your strengths and leverage your gaps. So what I mean by this is through your identity work, you're understanding what your strengths are. What you'll also recognize is what are your gaps. I don't like the word weaknesses because I don't really align with that wording. Instead, we all have gaps. We all have gaps where we're not strong in doing something. We don't have that skill set, that capability, that experience. So instead, how are we leveraging other people? How can I leverage my team with their strengths? How can I leverage my colleagues with their strengths? Instead of overexerting myself trying to be quote unquote know-it-all or jack of all trades, how can I recognize that other people have the strengths that I don't have, and how can I leverage them to do what I need to do. When you do this, you provide them opportunity to grow and develop. You provide them the opportunity to utilize their strengths even more. And it also decreases the chance that you'll become overwhelmed and exhausted because you're not trying to do it all yourself. So this is a really great tactic that is both selfish and selfless, because it's selfish in the way that I'm leveraging other people to get what I need done. And I'm creating an opportunity for other people to step up and support me. Because oftentimes, like, people really want to help. They do really want to step in and be supportive, but they often just don't know how to do it. So being able to offer those opportunities is really powerful. Number 4, delegate. This is so important. I've got a delegating masterclass, which you can purchase. You can grab it in the show notes. And I talk through the delegation diamond and how to delegate really effectively. And we also talk about this in VIP Leaders. You get access to this for free as part of that program. Delegating is one of the most empowering and supportive things that you can do. So this kind of ties into how we can support our teams. However, delegating is really effective because it takes things off of your plate. So it creates space, it creates capacity, it creates energy in your workload so that you can then have the space, the energy, and the time to be a leader, to actually lead your people. Because one of the things that I hear most often is, I don't have time to have one-on-ones. I don't have time to coach. I don't have time to delegate properly. But really, you're spending all that time overworking and doing a whole bunch of stuff that's actually not yours to do. Instead, when we start delegating, you create the opportunity for people to level up, to step up, to expand their skill set, expand their experience, and you give the opportunity for you to be able to have the space and the time to do your strategic work, to do your higher impact work. But you need to learn to delegate. Delegating isn't lazy. It's not about getting rid of your whole workload. 60 to 80% of your job needs to be leading your people. It needs to be having one-on-ones, setting goals, having career conversations, coaching people, giving feedback, having courageous conversations, setting expectations, setting the vision, setting the strategy. Like, that needs to be 60 to 80% of your role. 20% of your role will be actively doing work and delivering results and doing more of that individual contributor work. But so often, new managers, especially in those first 5 to 7 years, are caught in the opposite ratio, where it's 60 to 80% of doing, and only 20% of leadership. And that's not where we need to be. And so you want to use delegating to actually create opportunities for your people to level up and step up. So often people become disengaged because they become bored. They don't get to do interesting work. Their manager's so overwhelmed that they don't really engage with them. But if we actually step into delegating and learn how to do that well, we create opportunities for people to be able to step up and do great work. So learning how to delegate is really, really important, not only for yourself, it is also really important for your people in their growth and development journey. So if you want to learn how to delegate and that's all you want to focus on, grab my delegation masterclass in the show notes, or you can join VIP Leaders and I will teach you everything that goes into leadership. And lastly, number 5, working on your mindset. If you want to lead with less this year, working on your mindset is one of the most important and empowering and effective things that you can do. Because when you learn to develop a strong and resilient mindset, you are then better able to navigate really uncertain things, really challenging experiences, and you'll be able to help your team navigate them as well. One of the most important things that individuals and team members look for in their leaders is high emotional intelligence. When you have high emotional intelligence, you have high self-awareness, you have the ability to be compassionate, you are managing your own energy, you are able to regulate your emotions, which means that you are more present and more effective for your people. When you are not working on your mindset, when you are not developing your emotional intelligence, you become reactive, you become drained, you become cynical, you become pessimistic, and that has really destructive outcomes on environment, culture, and your team. As a leader, you are the most prominent person for your employees. You are the most visible and you're the most influential. And so working on your mindset and working on developing your emotional intelligence not only enables you to actually move through challenging things and being able to have more resilience and more optimism, it also enables your team to feel safer, to feel more trusted, to feel more respected, which means that you then get so much more out of them as well. And so this is really twofold. All of these 5 things are really twofold. Not only do they benefit you in how you can show up, how you can navigate your time, your energy, your focus better, they also create environments where your team feels more supported, feels safer, feels more trusted, feels more respected, which means that they give back even more. So those are the 5 things that I recommend you focus on, you develop, and you work on so that you can lead with less this year. And I'll go back through them, but I recommend going back and listening to this episode again and working through each of these things. Number 1, focus on your own values, strengths, perspective, and impact. So really anchoring into your identity statement. Support and empower your team. So really making sure that you set clear expectations, you give direct feedback, and you deal with issues before they become problems. Number 3, use your strengths and leverage your gaps. Don't be afraid to ask people for help. Don't be afraid to leverage their strengths to help you get results. It provides a great opportunity for them. Learn how to delegate. It's the best way to level up your team and to create space and capacity in your workload so that you can actually be a more effective leader. And lastly, work on your mindset. The more that you can develop a resilient mindset and build your emotional intelligence, the more that you are going to get from your team by creating a culture and an environment that they actually want to be a part of, that makes them feel safe and makes them feel like they can really be a high performer. So those are the 5 things that I recommend you work on to lead with less this year, because these things are going to benefit you and your team in so many ways. If you are not a leader yet and you are listening to this episode, these are the things that I recommend you start to develop already so that you can step into those roles already having these ideas, these skills, this experience already. Because you don't have to be a formal manager to be able to do these things. You can actually start doing them right now. And my program VIP Leaders is opening for enrollment very soon. So if you want access to early bird pricing and extra sign-up bonuses, now is the time to add your name to the interest list. You can go to the link in the show notes. If you would love to sign up early and save your spot, then make sure that you do that right now, which you can. So if you have any questions, let me know. I really hope that this episode is really helpful for you. I'm looking forward to sharing more information, more guests across this year for you so that you can lead with less and have more time, energy, courage, and confidence to be the leader people actually want to follow. As always, have a great week ahead, and I will be back again on the next episode. Hey, that's all from me today. Thank you so much for listening to Lead With Less. It means the world to me if you could take a moment to leave a rating and a review on Apple, or just rate with 5 stars on Spotify. It means a lot to the growth and the expansion of the podcast. And if you know any other people leaders who could do with a dose of inspiration to level up their leadership skills, then please forward on this podcast to them. I would really appreciate it. And as always, if you have any feedback or have any thoughts, please message me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or email. I'd love to hear from you.